Welcome back again. So in this lecture, we will try to create a Type 1 virtual machine using ESXi server. ESXi server is basically an enterprise class Type 1 hypervisor developed by VMware and serving the different virtual computers as a Type 1 hypervisor. ESXi is not a normal software, rather than it will install the OS components like the kernel on top of your bare metal systems or the resources, so that you can create a virtual machine from a remote machine by fetching the IP address from that ESXi server. Yeah, bare metal is one option. Another option is that we can create a type 2 virtual machine also. Means that inside a VMware we will install that ESXi server, and we will access that ESXi server and fetch the resources to create another virtual machine from any remote machine. So let us see how to create this one. So I have one ESXi server ISO file. First try to install that ISO file. So this one VMware VMvisor is a VMware ESXi server 6.5. So your RAM size should be little bit more. So here it is 4 GB RAM I have taken because my system is configured with only 8 GB. But if you have 12 GB RAM or more, that case you can take 8 GB or up to 10 GB of RAM. Why I am telling this so? Because if you want to create virtual machines, several virtual machines on top of that ESXi server, that case you require more RAM and more resources out of it. So I have taken 4 GB of RAM. Let us show you what are the settings I have considered over here. So 4 GB of RAM, 2 virtual CPU and 40 GB of hard disk. Now network adapter I have chosen by default as NAT. It should be bridged so that it can take the replica of the existing physical network state. So give a root password. It will take some time. Okay, now it is get installed. Now we need to reboot the ESXi server. Now we have to set up the IP addresses and the other configuration by entering into the kernel. Now here the IP address, nothing is given, it is the default IP address 0.0.0.0 is given. Now what will you do here? I will change the IP address and put the systems. Actually what will you do that we will create our base system as the client systems and the ESXi server which is installed within the virtual machine, and that is the guest operating systems will act as the server which will provide you the resources. Now the IP address of this guest operating systems, as it is working as a server, will act as a default gateway of my host operating system, and all the IP address must be within the same class. So the IP address of this guest operating system is 193.168.5.40. Subnet mask, it will take it should take default subnet marks. Just a minute. And this IP address is 192.168.5.1. Now for the time being I am not setting the subnet mask. So we need to shut down the system to set up whatever changes we have made. And earlier the subnet mask, it was showing one error because at the same time we need to change the IP address with the same class of IP within our host system also. And we have changed the IP in the host systems like this, that I am showing you. This is my host systems network configuration, and we have given the IP as the default gateway. First of all is the 193.168.5.40, which is the IP address of your ESXi server, because I need to access that ESXi server. And the IP address is taken in the same class, that is 193.168.5.200, and the default gateway here, it is taken as 193.168.5.1 for the guest operating system. Okay, let us now check that whether the changes have been done or not. Okay, so changes are there. Now